Hi, and welcome to the Happiness Coach podcast. My name is Lori Brandt, and I am the Happiness Coach. I believe our natural state is peace and calm, and the only thing keeping us from living life from that centered space are our limiting beliefs. It's my understanding that thoughts like, I'm not worthy, I'm not safe, or I'm not enough can be eliminated. Once revealed and questioned, they begin to lose their hold so that our natural state of greatness can rise up and into our present day experience. On this podcast, you'll listen in on real life coaching calls, interviews with leading experts, and open discussions exploring limiting beliefs and their transformation. If after listening you found it interesting or helpful, please follow and share. If it inspired you to consider becoming a life coach yourself, visit my website for upcoming ICF-approved life coach certification training dates at www.loribrandt.com. All right, let's jump in and get started. Today's client often finds herself in a state of anxiety that is sustained by a constant barrage of negative thoughts. These thoughts stem from a history of mistreatment and are often triggered by similar experiences in present day. The prominent limiting beliefs in this session are that people take advantage of her and people hurt her. We listen in on how she tries to protect herself by anticipating hurt, continuously bracing herself for the next shoe to drop. It is unveiled that this system is not protecting her, but instead, the system itself is what is hurting her because it keeps her in a perpetual state of anxiety. This old, outdated strategy that was created to cope and keep her protected is actually creating more stress in her life. By constantly projecting out into the future about what might go wrong, what someone might do or say, and then projecting what can be done to protect herself, she actually is recreating the hurt now, in the present moment, and every moment after that. So not only are people in her life triggering the hurt, she is triggering the hurt herself through her projected thoughts. Her name has been deleted throughout the podcast at her request. I'm so glad to have you here. Thanks for joining me today on the podcast. What brings you to the coaching session?
I need to learn to be a stronger human being and not let incidences in life affect my mental health and how I am on a daily basis.
So if you were stronger, what exactly are you thinking you'd like to be?
If I was a stronger person, my business would be doing better, although it's doing amazing as it is. But I know I would. There's been many days that I've let incidences make me just sit on my couch or in my bed all day in a little ball, and I have to stop it from happening. And I need to be a stronger person so I can help my clients who come to me for help be better.
So I'm hearing you're looking to not react to outside circumstances.
Absolutely.
Okay. And if you were not reacting to outside circumstances, can you just kind of give me an idea of what that would look like?
I would be a happier person because every single day I let other people's actions or not actions or words or thoughts take me down because I consider myself weak.
Okay, so if you weren't being taken down, what would you be doing instead?
If I wasn't being taken down, there's so many things on my list of to-dos, not only for my business, but for myself. I would just be a happier human being. My anxiety would be more in check because my anxiety surrounds a lot of what's going on in my life.
So what does anxiety being checked look like?
I wouldn't have that feeling of not being able to breathe in my heart and my throat and being suffocated and literally immobile, like not being able to move, which happens to me when I'm having a bad anxiety.
Okay, so let's just really get clear on what that would look like. So if you're not, if you're able to breathe, obviously you'd be breathing, but how else does that show up in your body if you're able
I'd be
to
happy.
breathe? You say happy and being able to breathe, and maybe if it helps, I just want you to maybe close your eyes and just recognize how that is showing up in your whole body. You're not having that anxiety of not being able to breathe. You're actually just breathing normally, calmly. Are there any other experiences in your body?
Yes. Pain in my gut, and which usually comes when I'm having anxiety. Just my overall body. When I'm moving and I'm not full of anxiety, I'm in a better person, whether it's pain or my actions, everything.
So you would have less pain or no pain?
Well, hopefully. That would be the ideal thing. I mean, some pain isn't stemmed to my anxiety, but I bet you a lot of it is.
So tell me what the gut feels like when you're in that space of non-reaction.
When I'm having an anxiety attack?
When you're not.
When I'm not, it just feels normal. It feels light and it feels open. It doesn't feel tight.
I want you to imagine a situation, maybe in the past, where you reacted to someone or something. And now I want you to kind of tell me how you would have liked to have responded instead.
Perfect. I just had something happen where I snapped a little bit. I would have liked to have not reacted and just thought, and thought of the, not repercussions, but would have, thought it through instead of reacting from my anxiety.
So the thinking process, is that like creating space, or can you tell me about, I just really want you to kind of jump into that situation and kind of watch yourself, how you would have liked to have dealt with that. Like, play by play. So the person says something and then you...
Well, this particular incident was something that the person wasn't like with me. And out of anxiety, I yelled and, basically I wouldn't have yelled. I would have stopped and I would have relaxed, and then I would have had a conversation with the person instead of reacting from my gut,
Okay, so if you were doing that on a regular basis, how might that impact your life?
It's funny how with my anxiety, I usually do contain it and I don't outwardly speak and I don't outwardly what's the word I'm looking for? I don't take it out on other people. So this specific incident, I did open my mouth, even though the person wasn't in the room. They were upstairs above me. But 2 incidents before that, I was attacked in a way and I just kind of hid in my shell and I let them do it to me. So that's what's kind of crazy about this, is there were 2 incidences recently where I was treated very poorly. And then the 3rd incident, I spoke out loud and I wish I didn't, because I think the 2 things that happened before really changed me because they caused me severe anxiety. So in other words, that's why I'm here, is so these things that have been happening, and I know they're happening to teach me a lesson, not in a bad way. I want to be able to not let them bring me down and suffocate me the way they have been.
If you experience life, let's just say I wave my magic wand and you achieve the goal of not reacting to outside circumstances on a regular basis, almost instantaneously by habit, when people do what they do, you just stop, you observe, you relax, and you have a conversation. Like, that's your life. That's what you do on a regular basis. What would that be like for you?
That would be amazing. My life would be completely different if I could do that.
So can you tell me about that? How would it be different?
It would be so much easier because, like I said, right now, whenever these incidences happen, they not only take over the day that it happened, they take over weeks after. It sticks with me. So if I were to be able to just sit down, either talk to the person or let it go, I would be able to continue my life like a normal, really there is no normal, but I'd be able to continue my life doing the good things that I want to do and not let these things that are causing me anxiety take me down and stop me from doing the good things that I want to do.
So I want to hear about that. So how would your day be easier?
I wouldn't be wasting my time worrying about the crap that...
So what would you be doing instead?
I would be working on my business. I'd be working on myself. I would be enjoying my life a lot more. Right now I wake up with severe anxiety every single morning because of things that have happened in the past. They always seem to happen every morning when I check my phone.
So if you woke up in the morning and your mind was just clear,
I would be very productive and I would be able to help more people because that's what I want to do with my life. But right now...
And when you're helping people, how does that feel?
Amazing. Helping other people helped me.
And how does that feel? Like, or, I'm using the word feel, and I mean like emotionally, and I mean mentally, and I mean spiritually. And
it feels right. It feels like that's what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. So right now, when anything really bad happens, that's what I do, is I turn around and help somebody.
Okay. And when you're enjoying life, what kind of activities do you do?
I'm going to the beach. I'm swimming. I'm going to concerts. I'm dancing. I'm singing in my car. I'm at my studio shooting. That's my life, is in that studio.
And how might it affect your relationships if that was how you were living your life?
God, it'd be so much better.
Yeah, how?
Well, number one, I wouldn't have people in my life that are going to be the kind of people that will take advantage of me. Number two,
so would there be supportive people? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, and how about, your intimate relationships? How might it affect that if you were, really living from this place of non-reaction and just enjoying your life and spending your time on your business and yourself and the people that support you?
It'd be amazing. I would have much more time to do the fun stuff and the good stuff than to be wasting my days worrying about who did this, who did what to me, and who's mistreating me and who's judging me or whatever.
So we just got to get clear on how we're going to know that we're not reacting. Okay, so can you think of a time when you were in a state of alignment, of peace and calm, of the thoughts were completely present on what was happening in the moment, maybe during your work, because it sounds like that's where you really come into you.
Yeah.
So can you just tell me how that shows up for you in your body?
Well, my head's clear. I'm seeing everything in a positive light. I think of everything positively. I react to everything positively. I am the person I want to be when I am out of the black cloud.
Tell me about that person.
I'm just loving life. That's who I am as a person. I just love life. I'm a good person. I do things for people. When somebody does something to me, it makes me angry, because when somebody does something like that to me, they're turning the dial down and they're turning me right down to a number 2, because normally when I'm in a good state of mind, I'm at a number 8 or 9 or 10. And when I'm at an 8 or 9 or 10, I'm full out there helping people. I am able to put everything I have into the people who come to me for help. So when something bad happens and I dial down to that 2 or that 1 sometimes, it makes me angry. When I'm going through my anxiety, I feel like a different person. I feel like a foot is stepping on my head, pushing me down. And I want to find a way for that foot to be taken off and kept off no matter what situation arises. I want to be able to be stronger and not have that person come out that's stuck on our couch that can only watch movies over and over again and not look at her phone, and I just turn into a different person, and I don't like it, and I needed to change.
And when you're on the couch and you're watching movies, is it just like when you describe that, I kind of feel like I'd be checking out. I just want to disengage.
100%. Okay. And that's why when I watch movies or TV, you get lost into another world and you're able to forget about your problems and what's going on with you. And I typically will put my phone away from me, which is a good thing. But what I've been trying to do a lot lately is meditate. Instead of checking out, I go into my bedroom, I lay down and put my earphones on, grab my crystals, and I meditate. And then I get up from my meditation and I do my cards, my oracle cards, and anything and everything I can do possible to heal myself and to raise my vibration and just not to let... I believe in the law of attraction. So I'm working very, very, very hard to...
So it sounds like you're implementing strategies to change your energy.
Absolutely.
And but it appears that it's not working the way that you want it to work. You'd rather, be able to just not react to begin with and
Absolutely.
Not have to do it.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Okay. So can you tell me the earliest time that you can recall when, somebody took advantage of you?
It's hard. There's so many different levels of the taking advantage of. I mean, a lot of it, there's incidences that happened when I was young, family members and whatnot. I think because I've always been that girl that would never stand up for herself and I've never been confrontational. Since day one, I was picked on and bullied in school. I was pushed into corners and spit on. I was beat up on my bike, held down by people. I was never the girl who stood up for herself, ever. And I want to change that now. I'm 46 years old. And I can't let this keep happening.
Okay. We're going to work through that. Okay. So can you tell me, can you recall the earliest instance? So I know it's hard, but just, and usually it's just whatever jumps out at you first is what.
I don't really remember exactly. I just, as a general, I remember being in public school and getting picked on a regular basis, and people kept doing it to me, and I never stood up for myself ever. Because I was scared. I was scared of not being liked, or I was scared that I couldn't do it, or I was scared that it would mess everything up.
Okay. So can you maybe just find one specific example of where you were taken advantage of?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. And what happens when I get into my head like this, I forget things. Like recently, you mean? Or anytime?
Most recent. Remember, like the earliest memory that comes up for you.
I just remember when I was a kid and being beaten up.
And how do you see that being taken advantage of?
I don't know.
Okay. Let's just, because it sounds like that might be another belief, yeah. And I'm just wondering the taking advantage of specifically.
I just, in a whole, I've just the kind of person that does everything. Like, I want to do things for people to make them happy, and I treat people how I want to be treated, and I don't always get that back in return. So I guess in a way I can say that to me was getting taken advantage of, because I know I'm not perfect, but I'm always trying to, like I said, treat people how I want to be treated. And I think that in a whole, I get on a regular basis. I don't get that back.
Okay, so what if we went there? What if we could think of it is can you recall the earliest instance when you did something for someone
No.
and then they took advantage of you?
I don't have, it seems as though when I was young, all these, for me in my life as I feel that a lot of my bad experiences in the past have been pushed out of my head, that I don't remember a lot of them. And I kind of don't want to. I know I'm supposed to deal with them, but
that's okay. You know what? If you're meant to deal with them, they'll come up. Let's just recall something in the more recent past then, where you did something for someone and they took advantage of you. Can you tell me about that?
I can, but I can't, because I can't. It's involving a client.
Okay, so let's pick one earlier than that might not be relevant.
I don't know why my brain's not allowing me to think about these things.
That's okay. Okay, that's okay. You know what? We don't need to go find a specific example.
I have to be very careful. I have a business, so.
No problem. If we were to put a magnifying glass to an example in your life where you felt you were being taken advantage of, I'm just wondering if we could just talk about it generically. Would it be fair to say that you do something for someone and you feel it's from your heart and it's, just give and serve, and then what happens then?
Well, hopefully the person appreciates it and helps them.
Okay, so let's say that they don't appreciate it. How would that show up? Your interpretation that they're not appreciating it. What might be the behavior?
Their words.
Okay, like
them saying some terrible things to me.
Like I don't like what you did.
No, it's not even that. It's just literally flipping to a different person. And
so you believe that whatever you did for them, they judged it, they criticized it.
No, it has nothing to do with what I did. They just completely turned into a different person and attacked me after.
So when you feel attacked, are they saying things about you, about your character? Are they saying things about what you do? Are they saying things?
It depends.
Okay, so let's just pick one, because I just want to really understand what happens.
I don't feel like I've been taken advantage of. I think that's why I'm having a hard time with. I don't feel like I've been taken advantage of.
Okay.
Although I know I have, and if I really sat down and thought about it, right now I can't. My brain's not letting me go there, and for a reason. So, but the last incidents that happened, I went out of my way to help somebody because I wanted to help them, from beginning to end, and 2 weeks down the road, something happened. I don't know what it was. And and I know they have mental health struggles as themselves. So I'm just kind of letting it go as that. They completely came back and attacked me about something that wasn't real and right.
Okay. So I just want to get this picture. So it's like, let's pretend it's me. So I help somebody, and I'm feeling good about it. I'm like, because it
your
felt right.
Your intentions are good.
Yeah. And then I find out 2 weeks later that they said something about me that was hurtful. Would that be a fair...
They came at me in a message. It wasn't even like to somebody else. It was to me.
Okay, so I get this message, and it was whatever it was. My reaction was hurt. Would that be a fair general description of what we're talking about here?
Beyond hurt, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I read the message, and then I want to bring a magnifying glass to the experience within you. Okay? And I don't need to know the story about it, but I just want to know. So you read the message, and then what?
I felt suffocated, and I couldn't breathe, and couldn't believe that this person could... It just blew me away. I don't even know how else to explain it. Blew me away. And I know it wasn't coming from I'm always trying to look at the other person's side. And like I said, I know the other person has mental health struggles. And that's why I wanted to help them so much. And
So then in your mind, what happens? Like, so that
I
thought,
literally shut down. I couldn't
down.
function. I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't do anything.
And when you say shut down, can you tell me, like, you couldn't leave the house? So, like, yeah, like, you're suffocating, you can't breathe. Are we,
I crumble, and I never want to help anybody ever again.
okay. So tell me, like, because I know from that space, then we go to, like, the couch, we check out, right? So how do you move from that very strong, powerful emotional reaction
I don't know.
to
It's
the
just like
checkout?
the force field's just wiped out. Like that field of protection around me just drops, and if you were to picture me, I just feel like I'm crumbling to the floor, and I don't know how to deal with it. It just, instead of letting go, you know what? I feel really bad for that person. They're obviously going through a hard time right now to come back and do that. You know, I wish them well. This is what we're going to do. And just moving on with my day, I can't. I just stop.
Okay. Can I ask, can you recall the earliest instance when you shut down?
My first incidents with depression, which is, to me, I'm not diagnosed, but I know I have PTSD. My first incidents of depression, so for me, depression and anxiety are two different things.
Okay, so are you saying that depression is equivalent to the shutting down that happens?
No, it's really, I've been learning this a lot with myself. And I just in the last few months, well, maybe a year, I've been through quite a few things in the last year. I've realized that anxiety for me and depression are two different things. My anxiety causes me to shut down. My heart races a mile a minute, and my gut hurts, and I feel like I'm being suffocated. With depression, it literally is like a switch just goes off, and no matter what I do, what I look at, where I go, who I'm with, I just can't snap out of it. And it's been a long time since I've, thank God, have experienced depression like that. It's been, and again, maybe if I talked to a therapist, they would say, oh, it's actually depression, not anxiety. But I know in myself how one feels different than the other.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is this shutting down that happened in this particular instance where you get the message and it's just overwhelming and then you shut down. So that shutting down, what I'm hearing, is different than the depression you experienced.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to know, can you recall the earliest instance of that shutting down? Not the depression, but the shutting down.
Yes, I do remember when it was. When the actual incidents, it's what I'm actually personally dealing with right now. What I believe is what caused me to have PTSD, and like again, I'm not diagnosed, but I've been around enough people with PTSD to realize that that's what I'm going through. But I had depression before the incident happened. But once the actual incident happened, that's when I learned what anxiety was for the first time. It feels so different to me than depression. And again, I don't know if it's just me. I haven't been diagnosed. I've been to a therapist a few times. That was back in 2013, I think.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you had a traumatic event. And you're recalling that this was the first time that you remember where you shut down. And we're talking about just, sitting on the couch watching movie after movie.
Well, now that we're talking about it more and more, I'm like my depression and anxiety do seem to be a lot alike. And I don't know how to decipher what's one or the other, or if they're both the same.
Okay, that's okay. We're just trying to see, because it appears, from my understanding, what happens is that when in our past we experience things and we create strategies based on what we know at the time to deal with it the best way that we can. And it appears that shutting down like this, just the wall goes up you described, and you remove yourself and you sit on the couch or for days, and the energy, but that appears to potentially be a strategy. And I just want to connect, if we could, the earliest time that was started to show up in your life, because whatever happened could very well be the key to why it keeps getting triggered today.
I'm sure it is.
Okay, so this event, can you recall, like, I think we moved away from it wasn't being taken advantage of.
I was taken advantage of in a different way, sexually.
Okay. And then shutting down worked for you because, oh, okay, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so again, it's so amazing how our mind has this original experience and the strategy that younger version of yourself implemented in order to survive, to cope, to move through it, to be able to deal with it, was to just put the wall up, shut down, shut off.
Hibernate.
Right. And everything that occurred in that experience now can be triggered in present day. So what happens is it's kind of like, if somebody hurts you, okay, maybe they're not sexually assaulting you, but they just hurt you with their words. What happens is our mind doesn't know the difference. It kind of just goes, oh, I felt that way before.
Okay.
Shut down, close yourself off, and it just automatically does it. But that's not all. What also happens is because this present moment triggers the hurt, it triggers the hurt from the past, and it triggers all the other emotions that were experienced during that time. So right now, you're not dealing with someone who sent you a bad text. You're dealing with the bad text. You're dealing with all the emotions and thoughts that were created during that original moment. And then any other time that you were bullied or stepped on or pushed around. So this reaction is very understandable. And I call that an exaggerated response because you're not just dealing with this woman's or this text and the words in it. You're dealing with that. And every time you were bullied, and every time somebody hurt you, and when you were a child and taken advantage of. Does that make sense? All right. So that awareness is really like pretty powerful because at least now it kind of like opens up a little bit of space for us to have a different choice. Because until we bring awareness to that, we just respond automatically.
That makes sense.
Okay. All right. So now we know that when we're responding to the text, all this other stuff's getting triggered. And the way that we can tell we're getting triggered is by how our body feels. And you're very aware of that. So that's really great. Because to me, when my body has those gut-wrenching, can't breathe, it's my neon sign from the universe that you are so going into the past and you're getting triggered. Old hurts are being triggered and it's not relevant to this situation. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it allows me to have that conversation that my reaction now is a reaction from the past. And by doing just that one statement, it's like I open up a little bit of space to respond differently. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So now what I'd like to do is to consider, have you ever been able to be hurt and have a different reaction than the one that we've been talking about?
I don't think I ever have. I mean, yeah, there's been times when I'm stronger than others and I kind of sit back and think, holy man, I did that. I'm still okay.
Okay. Can you find a specific example of that?
I don't know. I can't think of something exactly, but well, yeah, there's a couple.
Let's pick one. What?
It was a couple years ago. I lost a good friend. We stopped talking, and it was a big. About a year ago. It was in December. Anyway, I thought I would have handled it a lot worse than I did, but what happened to me, and this is going to be maybe sound a little crazy. I've had other people say this has happened to them too. With what's happened to me in the last few years, I'll have this random anxiety attack out of the middle of nowhere, and I won't know why it's happening. And I'll just feel suffocated, and I'll feel like, oh my gosh, there's something wrong, there's something wrong. And then a week after, or so many days after I have this attack, or this bout of whatever it is, and after I've calmed down, something major happens. Like, I've been through 4 major things in the last, 2 major and 2 bad in the last year and a half. And because I feel I had that anxiety attack and I already dealt with it here, it made me stronger. So when the actual incident happened, I was stronger to deal with it. It's the weirdest thing, and this happened to me like 3 times in my life, where 3 big things have happened to me, and I had these random anxiety attacks in the middle of nowhere, and then they fade away, and then the thing happens, and when the thing happens, I'm like, I'm not as bad as I thought I would be. I don't know what it is.
Okay, so there's 2 things going on there. So it's interesting. So these random anxiety attacks. Okay, I'm going to put that aside first. First, I want to talk about the calm. So you said, I went from anxiety and I moved and I was calm. So what happened between that anxiety, random anxiety attack, and the calm?
I don't know. I just must have.
So you experience the anxiety and it's showing up as not being able to breathe. And is it like 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Is it?
Sometimes a whole day. It's always different.
And then how do you know you've moved from there to calm? Like, what was the shift?
My brain isn't going a mile a minute and my heart's not beating out of my chest.
So it sounds like your thoughts.
I'm happy. I'm myself. I'm doing the things that I love to do. When I'm really having a hard time, I can't even look at my work. I can't even think of doing photo shoots, and that's my life.
So would it be true to say that during these anxious times, the physical body's reacting? I'm clear on that. But the mind, so is it like a cycle of thoughts, like one thought attaching to
another?
Yeah.
It's like nonstop.
And that cycle of thoughts, it has to do with the present moment, but does it also include other times that this has happened?
Sometimes it'll go back, and you start thinking about things that you really don't need to be thinking about. It's that overthinking. It's
and can are you aware? I'm not saying it is or it isn't. Just prior to a random anxiety response, is it precipitated by an increase of thought?
A lot of it is when I have time to think, when I'm still and I'm not doing anything, my overthinking often turns into anxiety.
Okay, so that's right. I'm just going to write that down. I'm going to take a minute to write this down. So that when you have time to think, the cycle of thoughts kind of increases.
Yeah, like when I find I stay home all day because I'm working on my computer all day, I feel at the end of the day that I am starting to black, like that black cloud starting to come over. So now I know that I need to get out and walk, and I need to get out and I need to reshift my thoughts and my actions to push that black cloud away.
Okay. Have you ever had an experience where you had the mental calmness that you're looking for?
I honestly can say no.
So what you're telling me is that on a regular basis, you're processing cycled thoughts, and I'm going to say recycled thoughts. So they're probably like recurring thoughts that you've had before. Would that be true?
So what you're saying is like when a specific incident happens that I've been able to just let it go? Not really. Okay. I usually let things eat me a lot. And I mean, on like today I'm having a good day. Nothing happened. But now that something's happened a few times in the last short amount of time, I'm always waiting for something to happen, right? I'm always, because it was in my personal life in the last year, I've had 2 big things happen, and then 3 or 4 still big things happen. So it seems like every time I let my guard down and I start to get to the point of where I want to be, I'm smacked with something else. And it's like a roller coaster where I'm like, oh, I'm okay. And there's like, bam, it's back up here again. And, I feel like I'm always on guard waiting for something else to happen. And I know that's not good. And you're supposed to get out of that. And you're not the mindfulness.
How does being on guard show up for you? Like, how do you know you're on guard?
My guard's already, like, I just am cautious about everything I do. And my anxiety is kind of always there because I'm always waiting for the next thing to happen.
Okay.
I don't want to be that way.
Yeah. Okay. So, but it's I can completely see how it's understandable to have that reaction. If way back at this instance, when somebody took advantage of you and that younger version of yourself shut down, that was to get relief, to experience some kind of, to be able to cope with that. And then every instance after that where you were being hurt, that shutting down apparently worked for you. To the point where, however, is it possible that you're shutting down even before life happens in anticipation of something happening? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure that part out. This whole having anxiety attacks before something big happens. I don't know where they come from, whether you call it intuition or what, but
if you're anticipating and the thoughts are connected to the past, which are triggering the emotions, that process is triggering it in your mental, emotional, physical. So it appears to be a random release. It's like people who say, you know what, I just started crying and I couldn't stop and I didn't even know what I was crying about. Again, it's the same thing. It's like if we don't allow or give voice to the thoughts that we're thinking and the emotions they're triggering and the impact it's having on our lives, it just happens automatically. So it may be that you don't know where it came from, but it had been building up and building up previously, and it needed a release. So it releases, you shut down, you get calm. It works according to your mind. So it's created this pattern where if I try to anticipate getting hurt, I'll be safe. So in order to anticipate getting hurt, I'm going to think about all the things I could do so I don't get hurt. But that whole process of thinking about getting hurt in the universe is the same thing as I'm getting hurt, I'm getting hurt, yep. I'm getting hurt.
I know, I'm working on that.
So it's kind of like, okay, so this energy that you're experiencing is I'm going to get hurt, I'm going to get hurt. And that thought is attached to all the times in the past when you were taken advantage of and were hurt and were bullied and the whole thing. So eventually what happens is you have an attack because that's a release for you. Because after, if I have an attack, I shut down, I get calm. So it's this strategy that was a strategy that was created, and it has been activated in your life because it has been considered as something that works for you. But what I'm hearing is it's not working for you because you are reacting constantly to outside circumstances, to what people are saying, and it's keeping you in a perpetual state of anxiety. So the same strategy that was created to actually help you, to keep you safe from being hurt, is actually hurting you. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does. And that was just the big events in my life that I was taking advantage of. Now that we're talking about, see, it just comes out. I was young and I was also 40 years old when the last big thing happened. So that gives a little bit of a history as to why I react the way I do, because not only did something happen when I was young, I was also sexually abused when I was 40. So it just, now it makes sense.
I think what we've discovered is that we have an outdated strategy that's no longer serving you. And if we were to create a new strategy, and specifically, we're looking for a technique to perceive and experience from the present moment and not through the veil of the past. And this is, it takes a while to be able to create a new habit, but we're just looking for a baby step. We're just looking to try to consider a different way of reacting in the moment when it appears you're being hurt. So in the past, what happens is that you would physically react, but a physical reaction is connected to the thoughts. Okay, so the thoughts had to happen first to have the physical reaction. Is there something that you can think of that you could do to just bring presence to the thinking that's happening immediately when you believe you've been hurt? So let's say, for example, this person sends you a message. So you get a message, you read it, and you might notice your body first, because that's how the universe communicates with us. But how could you potentially in that moment bring awareness to the thoughts you're thinking?
The first thing that comes in my mind is meditation, because it's helped me so much, where I could just stop and take the negative stuff, put it aside, go into my head, relax, really get out of that negativity, and then come back to dealing with it after. I feel that would be a gigantic, and I should have done it a long time ago, or going for a walk, or just leaving the situation. But see, for me, when I'm in the height of my anxiety, I can't even think of walking out the door or...
Right. So I think, I don't think, given what you've shared with me, it sounds like going and meditating is just not even realistic in that moment. Right in that moment.
I don't know what else would help me, though.
The person sends a message. You read it. And my understanding is that there was probably already a cycle of thoughts happening, and now they're going to speed up these cycle of thoughts that you were describing. And these cycle of thoughts start to go and then that's part of the anxiety, right? Okay. So the thoughts that you're thinking right in that moment, my understanding is that you're just processing them mentally. Okay. Is it possible to maybe write them down?
Yeah, I could do that. That would be a good idea too.
Is that like something that seems realistic?
I don't know. I have to try it. It depends on the day.
Okay. Because if we're just recycling them up here, that would be doing the same thing. And going into meditation in that state, you're triggered, might be difficult at first. It's something definitely to do down the road. But, even on a good day, sometimes meditation's tough, right? So if you were to just write down all the thoughts that you were thinking, so that it's like you get to let it go up here because it's coming out there.
Yep, that makes sense.
It's physical, so now you're not concentrating on what's happening inside the panic, but instead you're having to write. And so it's teaching your brain that there's an alternate way of dealing with it. Now it sounds really simple, but it's a baby step. It's just a baby step to try to create enough space in there. Just try to create a new strategy that serves you. Does that make sense?
Yep, 100%.
Okay. We discussed if something happens and you get hurt, you're going to do what?
I'm going to sit down and write out my feelings.
Write out feelings. And when you say feelings, what do you mean by that?
How I'm feeling at that point after that incident happened.
So when I think of
how
feelings...
it's making me feel.
Yeah, I think I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm frustrated. Those are feelings. I'm wondering if you would be open to writing down the thoughts.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so when I say thoughts, what do you mean? What do you think I mean by that?
Everything that's popping up into my head.
Yeah, like you're an idiot. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Not holding back, because you're always worried about saying something not nice about somebody, but
Perfect.
if that's the first thing that pops up in your head, you write it down.
Okay. And how long do you think this process would be helpful?
Until it makes a difference, you mean?
Yeah, like how long would you like to commit to doing the writing process when you're in that space?
10 minutes.
Okay. And do you have a book or something that this could happen in?
Tons.
And they're available and handy wherever you are?
Right in my bedroom, and I have them in my studio everywhere.
Okay. And I'm just curious that let's assume that you don't have a book available to you and
my phone.
Okay. And if you couldn't type, just do a recording.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to give.
That's a good idea.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you feel like you'd like to maybe attempt?
Not at the moment. It takes a lot out of you talking about this stuff. So it's, dealing with one thing at a time.
Yeah. And again, this is just a baby step. We have to keep in mind that, our brain creates pathways of how we're going to respond to things. So you've had a really long time and your brain has created some really solid pathways of response. And in order to change that, to do something different, we have to do something for a while, like quite a while, to create a new habit so that new pathways can be connected. Mm-hmm. This is the first step to start to entertain making a new pathway. And I just want to honor your bravery and courage for sharing your experience and being open to reconnecting and realigning with who you really are, so that you can live your life the way that you want. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Some of the limiting beliefs that came up during this podcast and will be worked on in future sessions are: I am weak, I was attacked, I was treated poorly, they caused me anxiety, things happened to teach me a lesson, people bring me down, experiences suffocate me, experiences stop me from doing things, things happen every morning, helping other people helps me, people take advantage of me. Now, these are just some of them, but when something happens that is perceived as hurting her, it appears that she begins to recycle these limiting beliefs and the emotions attached to them. This mental process creates anxiety. And when the anxiety becomes too much, the wall goes up, she shuts down, checks out, so she can get some relief. It also appears that if life doesn't present her with an experience of someone hurting her, so that this strategy of release can be implemented, her mind will recycle the limiting beliefs long enough to create enough anxiety to trigger the act of shutting down, because that has provided relief in the past. There may be another strategy that we didn't discuss. It appears that the client helps people so they will like her or praise her or see her as a good person. But there is a difference between helping people from an inner state of peace, calm, and happiness, where one is aligned with their inner truth, and helping people so that they'll get something in return, like appreciation or reciprocated generosity, or to feel good inside. Expecting something in return is attachment to an outcome, and this behavior draws us outward and reactive to outside circumstances. This might be something the client may want to focus in on in future sessions so that she can achieve her goal of not reacting to outside circumstances. You've been listening to Lori Brandt, the Happiness Coach. If you enjoyed the program, please go to iTunes and follow, rate, or leave a comment. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, life coach certification, go to my website, loribrandt.com, or perhaps even attending our Unleash Your Greatness conference so greatness can reflect back in beautiful Ridgeway, Ontario at the Buffalo Canoe Club on the shores of Lake Erie. You can learn more at www.unleashmygreatness.com.